late in our start this morning, but we are on location at the Health Equity Compact Summit here at UMass Boston. I am sitting here with no stranger to the Java Cafe. I don't think she has been on since. She has not been on because, you know, she's just out here looking wonderful and doing wonderful things.
Crisscrossing the state.
Crisscrossing the state. But, you know, Boston always has a special love for you. But similar to Councilor Presley, we had to let her go. We're not letting you go, and we haven't let her, Councilor Presley, go either. But we also know that your expansion is having a huge impact. I just heard Michael Curry talk about the fact that he met with folks in your office and they were excited about that. First of all, since the election, since you've been in office, how are you, with all due respect, is Andrea doing?
I'm doing great. You know, when you're living a purpose-driven life, it's something to be grateful for, right?
Absolutely.
You don't do it for the money, you do it to serve others. So I'm doing well, and the role and the issues we're talking about, they just go hand in hand. An attorney general is going to have to play a critical role on so many issues, including the health equity pieces, reproductive health care, and so much more. So I'm doing great.
That's good to hear that. But that piece right there, you as a woman, as a Black woman, with all that's going on in reproductive health care, how Massachusetts, you know, there's a presumption that Massachusetts is okay. Are the women okay?
We have significant work to do.
Okay.
The great thing about this Health Equity Summit by these incredible compact members is it's the first of its kind in Massachusetts and in the country, highlighting health equity issues, focusing on equity. And one of the things that I highlighted along with others is, for example, maternal health. We have the best healthcare system in the world, but yet Black women are 2 times more likely to die in childbirth than their white counterparts.
Specifically here in Massachusetts?
Or a year after. Right. So we have significant work to do. And as a mother of 2 young boys, it's something I'm passionate about. So already in the office, we put out a grant through settlement funds to be able to fund organizations on the ground that are doing this work of closing maternal health gaps. But that's just one issue, right, that we know communities of color are dealing with, including mental health crisis. Our children, when it comes to their mental health, the struggles there. So this summit is highlighting all of the inequities and starting there and say we as a collective need to do more to address and close those gaps.
Absolutely. You as a counselor worked a lot. I think at one point you were over public safety. I don't know if you had a stint with public health. Social determinants of health across the state, from your perspective as Attorney General, how do you take an approach to the injustices that come with the social determinants of health? They are decades, in some cases centuries deep, impacting communities of color. What is your approach to, I guess from a legal aspect, addressing some of the social determinants of health?
One, prioritizing where we do the work. We often say in the office, this work is about those who've been left out, left behind for far too long. That is communities of color. And with some level of intentionality, you can put out grants, for example, that can change life outcomes in certain communities. We just put up a posting to establish a gun violence prevention unit, which would be the first of its kind in the
sort
office.
Of stuff we've worked on.
Exactly. A police accountability unit as well, 2 separate units to focus on those issues. Economics. I've been saying there's a lot the office can do to close the racial wealth gap. We take on discrimination. We fight for workers. We're putting money back into the pockets of workers, including children, where employers are not paying those young workers what they're entitled to, and hired someone to drive some of that work, which is the first of its kind maybe in the country, a senior advisor for economic opportunity and mobility. So
in the AG's office?
In the AG's office, which is, it's not just about prosecuting crimes, which we do every single day. It also is about these policy initiatives. And if you focus on certain communities of color, or even poor white communities that exist in Massachusetts, in our rural communities in particular, do some coalition building there, we can make a significant impact over the next few years. So I'm excited. And today is really great because the summit brings all of these stakeholders together in the healthcare space, who also are focusing on the social determinants of health, violence, trauma, economics. It's exciting.
Absolutely. One of the things that I'm excited about, we launched something called a healing tour, where we're going to Roxbury, we're in Dorchester tomorrow, Mattapan, and Hyde Park. And again, you were over public safety. You and I have worked together around some things around youth violence, gun violence. Can you, as Andrea, as a mom, also as the AG, How do you define healing? And what is it that you would say to the community about prioritizing healing just in general? I put a post up and people said, Jimmy, do you mean physical? Do you mean emotional? However you interpret it, how do you define healing? And what would you say to our community about prioritizing healing?
It is critical. Whether it is trauma you've dealt with as a child, and if you live in a community of color, you've experienced trauma, whether it's folks who are incarcerated from a community, poverty, that exposure to those things is trauma. If you're in a community where you don't have access to a high quality education, that's trauma, right? All of that injustice. And if you add layers of trauma within your family, abuse, or a relative who has died, or a relative who's incarcerated, if you do not deal with that, you're either bound to repeat those cycles yourself, or not to reach your full potential. And I want our people to reach their God-given potential. So for me, the healing is, one, seeking out mental health support.
Absolutely.
And that is critical. Talk therapy, not with your relative, your auntie, or anyone else, with your therapist.
Someone who's trained.
Someone who's trained, who can listen to your story and say, that is sad what happened to you. Who can give you the tools to deal with that trauma, which is really important. So you don't pass it on to your kids, and that doesn't pass on to the next generation.
And that's the point I thought you was going into, because there is a lot of perpetuating of trauma.
That's right.
In a lot of cases.
And you don't even know it. And how an abuser can be later, or someone who was abused, become an abuser later in life.
Without even realizing
unaddressed trauma, right? They say hurt people hurt people. So but it's not only for your personal healing, for your family, it's also for your community, but most importantly, for you to reach your God-given potential, which you cannot wrap your brain around, because your brain is this small. We're very faith-driven.
Yes.
What is for you is so much bigger.
Yeah.
You're destined to do amazing things. My life story is one example of that, but I come across people every single day who are living in purpose. And the joy that I feel, the pure happiness, it's from in here. It's not external, right? And that is because I'm living in purpose every single day. You cannot get to that space if you are not dealing with that trauma, to grow in who you are, to know who you are, and to stand in who you are confidently. And so it's just critical. And I think we need to stress more of that. I will add, with young people and young kids, I say all the time, any elected official who's going in and saying we're going to eradicate poverty and violence overnight is lying. That's just not going to happen. But how do we make sure our young people still have what they need in the midst of those circumstances to thrive and to prosper? We can do that.
I agree with that. I'm sitting here looking at you, and I'm getting a little moist-eyed because, I know you ran for mayor and some things and whatnot. You talked a few minutes ago about destiny.
That's right. God had other plans.
I almost said Reverend. Attorney General Campbell, I thank you for the few moments of being here. Thank you for how we have just dealt with each other through the years. I'm really so proud of you, of what you're doing. And can you just turn a little bit and show the folks? Because
I cut all my hair off. I've been working. Talk about wellness. I've been working out. I was like, I need something that's easy and just effortless.
You look amazing.
Because when you're in alignment, the healing piece, it's being in alignment. And for me, it's that vertical relationship. Call it, for me, it's God. But for many, it's spiritual, the universe, whatever. In alignment, when you're in alignment, and when you're not. Yeah. And when you're in alignment, you can wake up and not have to turn to things or substances or whatever else to be in that alignment. Critically important. And you get there by focusing on healing, prioritizing yourself in your healing. That's not selfish. It benefits everybody. So thank you for everything you're doing. Always having the platform, and congratulations on the new endeavors. Very exciting.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No moist eyes today. So.
And thanks for being here to cover this for community.
Absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in. And as I said, we'll be back off and on today. So please be patient, but the information is important, and show some love to our wonderful Attorney General. Thank you all. We'll be back with you shortly.